Busy weekend coming up for Florida State, the high school recruiting trail. It's that time as we're a little bit out of the portal window now for Florida State. Michael Langston joining us here on Warchant TV to talk about the visitors coming into town to Tallahassee the weekend, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. Starting tomorrow, arriving on campus on the 17th through the 19th. Maybe they'll stay a little bit longer. That's why Michael's here.
Yeah.
Michael, good evening. How's it going?
I'm great, man. Everything's great. Get the first big junior day weekend. We've done so much portal stuff that we really hadn't got into high school all as much as we want to dive into. But then 2026, certainly what a lot of top guys expected this weekend. We kind of get the dive full in, hands first into the deep end. Just on to see what this staff can do as far as recruiting wise, just to see the connection they can make and if they can keep this excitement going.
Yeah, that's a fair point. A lot of momentum at the end of the signing period, the early signing period into 2025. Florida State doing some good work on the trail. What are these coaches like when they're around juniors, fortifying relationships for the 26 cycle? This will be very, very interesting. Michael, we're going to start at running back, a 2026 product you like, and Amari Clemens, who's going to be on campus this weekend. What do you know about this recruitment, his visit, and then from there, anything else at skill positions like wide receiver before we get into the trenches?
Yeah, Amari is a really explosive running back. He's actually from my grandparents' hometown in Mariana, where they were from. But he brings a lot of explosion. He averages like 200 yards a game. He's a guy they've loved. They covet speed. They always do. He's already said FSU's his number one school, so that's one that I do feel good. Going into this junior day weekend of kind of where FSU sits, even though he said they're number one, you never know. I mean, he could pop or not. Could get some early, good news there. Then you also have Samari Wingo that's coming in there out of St. Augustine. He's a guy that they've spent a lot of time on, four-star receiver. That's another one that I feel like it's trending in a good direction. Not as quite as solid as I am on Amari, but that's certainly one that they love. And then the tight end position, I think Xavier Tiller is probably the one that I've got circled when I looked at it. Texas A&M commitment, guy that has good connections already with the FSU staff. Certainly one that where it was very important to me that he took the first visit he set up was to FSU, even though he's committed to another school. I think the fact that he's coming this quickly, I think it says a lot about his interest and mutual interest in FSU. So certainly some pass catchers. You'll have a few FSU commits at wide receiver is also there. So I think overall, those are kind of the early ones as far as the skill guys.
And everybody, you can get these updates with all of the names. There are
Yeah,
so many names for this weekend, the upcoming weekend to close out the month of January. A lot of kids going to be on campus. Head to warchant.com, premium recruiting board. You can sign up now. It's $1 for 7 days of access, then half off your first year at warchant.com. So head to the land of Michael Langston, known as the Premium Recruiting Board Forum,
yeah,
warchant.com for all of this in-depth information. But we're going to move now, Michael, to the trenches.
yeah.
And we're going to talk about four-star offensive tackle Cannon Pickett. This was an addition to the Premium Recruiting Board from midweek. You confirmed this on Wednesday that he's going to be on campus this weekend.
Yeah, I think Matt confirmed that one, and that's a significant one because there's a connection in, Zephyr Hills and Tampa, certainly with Herb Hand. So that's one that there's a previous relationship with. So that's one that where Miami's kind of been trending in that one, but it's also where now Herb Hand's at FSU, and that kind of is going to shift stuff as far as FSU being a major player. For those who don't know, GJ is his brother. He's at LSU, signed with them from the 2025 class. So I think this is one of their most vital ones as far as the offensive line. They do already have Xavier Payne, but I think getting a top-notch, top premier offensive lineman, it really will show us a lot about that reach that Herb Hand has as far as his recruiting ability and recruiting skills. And I think there's a really good opportunity here for FSU to make a nice surge in there. I just, spoiler alert for people, I'm going to do like an 8 targets to watch. And, spoiler, he'll be one of them. I'm not going to give every one of them away, but he's one that I think is very vital for FSU to make a move on. And I think there's a good chance that they do that. There's some other guys like J.J. Sparks, a talented offensive lineman they like a lot. Malcolm Gaston is another one that they like, and there's others. But I think from the offensive line, my focus and attention is really on that Cannon Pickett visit and the impact that they make on that trip.
And flipping over to the defensive side of the ball, if I'm counting here correctly, just in terms of edge rushers alone, one,
Yeah,
two, three, four, 5 4-star defensive ends, but that's not all that they're bringing in, but 5 4-star defensive ends making their way on campus, 4 of them in the 2026 class.
Yeah.
A loaded defensive line weekend upcoming in Tallahassee.
Yeah, and it kind of speaks to kind of what we've bragged about of this guy that they added with Terrence Knight and Pot Roast, that he's very good at connecting with people. We even saw that in the portal where they were able to get a lot of kids in there. He's a very popular guy. He's a guy that's he can relate to guys very quickly, personality wise. He just connects with them. Certainly, the top guys, Jamarian Carlton. That's the one that I have circled a lot because he's from Texas. You want to certainly see a surge there with FSU. I think the guy they feel the most comfortable with FSU at the edge position is Trenton Henderson. Grew up a big FSU fan. I think they sit in a pretty good spot there. James Johnson is another one I think they want to make a move on. Miami, FSU, Florida, they're all in that kind of that cycle together. I think that's one that FSU can take the lead for, with a push and a great visit. And then Xavier Griffin Haynes is a interesting one as well, where North Carolina's offered, a lot of schools have offered. North Carolina's certainly going to be in the picture with Bill Belichick there now. So defensively, he knows how to handle that. But I think Xavion's one that I'm kind of intrigued with because he was really, there was a lot of communication and some buzz around FSU, throughout the year, even though they were going through a tough season. FSU's always been a school that he's pretty high on. Have a few young guys that are in there as well. You have a guy that I'm pretty high on is K-Tro Webb. He's a very talented guy. He's listed as a 3-star. I think he's going to be bumped up eventually to a 4-star that I think FSU will turn up their pursuit for. So yeah, there's a ton of guys in the trenches, and Terrence is Terrence got his work cut out for him as far as doing it. But the main thing is you can't get them if you don't get them on campus, and I think they're doing a great job as far as just the talent, amount of talent that they're adding as far as in this weekend to bring on campus, even for these coaches only being here for a short time.
Again, the defensive board, it keeps going here. So I'm going to get your highlights on 2 different position groups, linebacker level or defensive back level, and I should say, not or. But again, I'm counting just quickly on the premium recruiting board post. 1, 2, 3, 4 blue chip linebackers on campus at minimum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defensive backs who are at the 4-star level or higher on campus. Tell me the highlights of those kids that are going to be in Tallahassee this weekend.
Yeah, I think the one that I've circled is Xavier Griffin, committed to USC. One of the top linebackers in all of the country. FSU's always been in there. Certainly, they're going to make a push, and it kind of gives you a different feel of just how linebacker recruiting has kind of changed. Where I'm not used to this many linebackers that you see in recruit, but that's a guy that I think is going to be one of the top guys. I think Rodney Colton is a South Carolina commit. He will also be there. He's coming in to check out FSU. There's a previous connection, I think, with Tony as well there. Isaiah Williams is a guy that previously was committed to FSU, but the staff broke up. He didn't know how it's going to work. New staff, so he's uncommitted. Florida's kind of the team that's been the leader, but this is a chance for FSU to really surge their way back to where they were. They could make a move there, so that's one that I'm really keeping a close eye on. Caden Henderson is another one, 2027 though, but probably one of the top linebackers in all of 2027. And then a guy that, while his ranking might be 3-star, this is one, Tom, I've heard that FSU likes a lot in Karan Maycock. He's from Miami Central. He will not be a 3-star long, in my opinion. That's a guy that will be one of the top, I think, linebackers / safeties in the country. Certainly, they're going to be heavily involved with him. Then moving over to the secondary, you listed, you have several guys in there. 4-star DB Dorian Barney is one that they like a lot. Lasiah Jackson from Lee County, yeah, that should ring a bell. That's where Usman Chromo's from. So as I told people, all these prospects that are at Lee County, don't be surprised if there's a lot more interest with FSU because Usman's very popular around a lot of these young guys and talented guys, and so I think that's one that I'm going to keep an eye on to see what move FSU makes. I'll be surprised if they're not one of the top schools by the end of the visit. So those are 2. And then 2 main guys that are certainly really high on their radar is Caden Hall out of Milton, Florida, And then Samari Matthews is another one who's probably the top cornerback on their board. He's coming in. Tadarius Hughes, the FSU commit, will be there as well. And there's a few others, but as people can tell, extremely loaded group of visitors, and I could go on with days of covering every one of these guys. But it screams to you about how recruits want to see this program, especially after a 2-10 season. And it says about to get this much talent on campus. I think it says a lot, Tom.
Well, one question that everybody's going to ask just watching this video, is it fair to assume that there are commitments coming this weekend, or is it too early to tell with how the staff operates and what that's going to look like?
I think you could see a few, but it's not like I'm getting indication from a kid or my contacts or sources that, hey, they're expecting this kid to commit. Sometimes you get them. Sometimes there's 2 or 3, and then sometimes there's commits, but there's not public commits. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that the main thing is establishing what they are, who they are, this new staff. And yeah, if you get a commit, say Amari Clemens commits, yeah, that'd be phenomenal to get some positive momentum going. But it's not like it's like drawn in sand. Like, hey, it's going to definitely be a commitment. I would not be surprised if you see a few. Just that's kind of the best way I can word it. And I guess I could put a prediction on it. Is I would not be surprised there's a few in there because I've seen these guys work, and there's a few in there like Trenton Henderson, Clemens. Even Samarian Wingo that are already really high on F, especially Trenton Henderson and Amari, that you wouldn't be surprised if they popped, going in there. So I think there could be a few, but there's not like it's expected for sure. But overall, but my takeaway of coming this weekend is just what what do I hear from the recruits? What's the feeling in around the recruits of one, the way FSU is going to recruit them and the way they're recruiting them and what's important to them and the issues that are important to them of what stands out to the staff and kind of learn what kind of they covet. Is it the skills or is it relationships? Is it the development? Or is it a combination of those things? That's what I'm interested to see is more about what these coaches do and how they connect with these guys.
Dozens of kids going to be on campus here at
Yeah.
Florida State this weekend. Again, the weekend of January 17th to 19th here at Florida State. Junior Day. You'll have some kids who might be able to round out the 2025 class here on campus. At least one is expected January 25th. Stay tuned for that video next week as we break down who will be on campus at the end of the month for Florida State. For all of the latest coverage from Junior Day weekend in at the Moore Center on the practice fields, if that's where they go, we'll see what they do. Head to warchant.com, head over to the Premium Recruiting Board, and if there's breaking news, hit the like button underneath this video, subscribe to the channel. It's always free on Warchant TV. It will pop up on your home screen when you log into YouTube on a Saturday night, maybe a Sunday afternoon. We'll see. Yeah. Michael will have all the breakdown for you. Michael, we appreciate the time as always here.
You got it. And for people that can also follow, I think Matt's already got a few one story on a couple of top guys that, they're heavily involved with from this junior day. And they're putting a lot of emphasis into this. This is a big moment for them to set the tone for what your recruiting class or how they're going to do. So I think it's already a good class. You look at a lot of their commits they have already in place. But I think overall this is a much different aggression, Tom, that I've seen, as far as them getting the top guys in this first one. So I think certainly there's a lot of aggressive, and I think they want to set the tone. So it's going to be a lot of great coverage. Like I said, I'll have my 8 elite guys to watch, that I'm going to keep an eye on from the weekend. And then certainly on Saturday, we'll have full updates on everything that's going on from the junior day and the recap with all of them after with post visit and all that stuff. And then I'll have a recruiting wrap like I always do after it's over. So gonna have a lot of stuff coming up. And then, before you know it, you got the tour of duty coming. So a lot of stuff for you guys.
I know it. If the kids arrive early enough tomorrow, they'll see the tour of duty. The first workout is tomorrow. Now the media doesn't get to see it till a little bit later, but hey, this is why you bring in all those new coaches. People were lamenting. We see you out there on the PRB. We see you on social media saying we got to get stronger in high school recruiting. This is why you bring those guys in. What are they going to do with the opportunity for a first impression? We'll find out. We'll document it here on Warchant TV and warchant.com. Michael, thanks as always.
You got it, bud.
We'll talk to you next time, everybody, right here on Warchant TV.